Kim Arnold. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm doing a process layout video for a YouTube hop that I'm participating in for the paper crafting YouTubers, and the theme is ice cream and lemonade. I am using the ice cream inspiration for this layout, and I'm using the Color Study range from Vicki Boutin and a pre-finished background also from Vicki Boutin, and this super cute sweet stuff cut file with the ice creams. I am backing this cut file with a very beautiful coloured paper from the Color Study range, and I've just used my wet glue to put a thin row of glue around the edge of the part of the cut file that I'm backing and stuck it to the pattern paper, and now I'm just trimming around the cut file with my scissors, and then I will come back with my craft knife to finish off the detail parts in between the letters that I can't get to with my scissors. So I think I'm going to cut out a part of this because I don't think you need to see me backing this entire word. So you can see there I roughly cut around it, and then I'm now doing as much trimming as I can with my scissors. Once I finish with the scissors, I come in with my craft knife and just trim off the little bits till I get a nice neat finish backed behind that word sweet. So that's finished there now. Check that it looks okay on the background paper. You can see that is a gorgeous pre-finished background paper from Vicki Boutin. I do love her pre-finished backgrounds, even though I also like doing my own mixed media work. Sometimes it's just easy to grab a pre-finished background, and if you're not confident with mixed media, it's a great way to have a go and see whether you like it in your scrapbooking work without having to get messy. Now I'm going to back the cones. It's the exact same process, glue onto a craft paper, then trim around. It just finishes those cones nicely, and the craft cardstock is a great colour that represents those ice cream cones. Again, just checking. So the flowers I've got there, I actually fussy cut out from another one of the papers in that range. Now I'm just going to back the ice cream part, and I'm using a polka dot paper from the Color Study range again. And now I'm just using some of the craft cardstock to actually put a piece on top of the popsicle stick for the middle ice cream. So basically I put it on the craft paper, drew around it, and then use that to trim it out. And then I'm just checking it and trimming it down to make sure it fits properly, and a bit of wet glue and stick it on. And trim it to make sure it's a nice perfect fit. Now I decided that I wanted to incorporate some gold. So the background does have a little bit of gold on it, but I wanted to continue that into my cut file. So I'm actually painting the word stuff. I'm just using my metallic watercolour palette here. So I have painted the stuff, and it's just plain, this is just plain textured cardstock that I've cut this cut file from. I haven't gessoed it or anything. I'm just painting watercolour on, not too much water so that the cardstock doesn't get too wet. And now I'm just doing the ice cream at the top of the two cones. So this is a more solid piece of the cut file. So in the ice cream below this is the polka dot paper, and I'm just painting the top part of the ice cream in the gold, making sure that it's all fully covered. Again, just that watercolor metallic gold. You could use any watercolor paint or any acrylic paint to paint that. So now you can see I've got the gold, the paper backing, and some more gold, and I think that's working really well. And now I'm going to use a glitter paste from Nuvo, and it's so sparkly. It's absolutely beautiful, and I'm using that to colour in the ice cream for the middle ice cream stick. So hopefully when I get to the end photos, still photos at the end, you'll be able to see how sparkly that beautiful centre ice cream is. And so I just put it on with my finger. If you don't like doing that, you could use a brush. I like this because you get the effect of glitter without glitter ending up all over your craft room. And now, so I had those fussy cut flowers that I'd cut myself, and I'm just going through and picking out some die cuts from the die cut pack in that Color Study range to see whether they work with the cut file. So I am auditioning an arrow there, which I don't end up using, but I'm just looking to see if it was going to work. And then I've got, as I said, the fussy cut flowers and some additional die cuts, which I'm going to use around both sides of the cut file there to frame it. And I think that it works really well to pull out the colours too in that background, which sort of looks like ice cream that's been sprayed or dripped across the page, which I think it's just the most perfect background for this particular layout, with this absolutely gorgeous picture of my niece enjoying a summer ice cream in London. So it is summer over there at the moment, and I love getting these photos from my sister because, of course, we're in the depths of winter down in New Zealand, so it's beautiful to see summer photos and to see my nieces enjoying ice cream. So I am just going through these die cuts to see if there's any more. I've got a little butterfly there that I'm going to use. I'm looking at this clip up in the top corner above the photo, but I ended up deciding it looks a little bit like she's wearing a hat. So I didn't go with that, and I will replace it with something else shortly. You don't want a die cut to look like a hat on your photo, so you do have to be careful about that. I love those bulldog clip die cuts, but yes, you do have to be careful about how you use them. Just going through some more pieces to see what else I like, and I do find one more piece, and I think it says right here with a gold arrow, so it's perfect because then it's like sweet stuff right here. So I will keep fossicking through things to find. I do audition some other butterflies to see whether I like those, but they're not right either. So I think this is pretty well all the pieces I end up using. So I've got a gold butterfly there, but I don't like that. I like the little yellow one. There's the right here die cut. It's perfect with that gold arrow. I just couldn't have done it better if I'd planned it. And now I'm just looking to put something behind the photo because I want to give a little bit of colour around the photo so it's not just sitting directly on the background. What I end up doing is using the offcuts from what I backed the suite with, and I go around the photo. Now, because I don't have one piece big enough, so sorry, that's the clip that I replaced that big blue clip with. So these are little, tiny little black clips, metal clips. Well, they look like that, but they're actually a sticker, so it's great. They don't add too much dimension. So here I am. I'm just putting this pattern paper. Now, because I don't have a piece big enough for my photo, what I'm doing is just piecing together a piece big enough to fit behind the photo and have some edges sticking out. I'm going to just stress the edges so it doesn't really matter that it's all different pieces, and because it's multicolored anyway, it all just sort of blends together behind the photo and it works perfectly, and it means that I get to use up my scraps. So I am sticking down my flowers now. I'm using a combination, as I always do, of wet glue, and I think I use some foam tape. Well, I've actually foam taped and lifted up the whole of the cut file. I'm sorry, apologise for that. So I'm putting foam pieces now behind this cut file, so the whole thing will be lifted up. So all the flower die cuts are stuck down with wet glue. The title and the photo will be lifted up with foam tape. So I'm just putting foam tape now behind this cut file, and that will give it the dimension it needs. I'm only putting foam tape behind the sweet and behind the ice creams. I didn't need to put it behind the stuff, I don't think. I think it's just will be held up by the rest of the cut file and it will work fine. So I'm just keeping layering that in. Just make sure that you don't have any bits sticking out from behind any holes, because there are some holes cut in those ice creams, and just working my way around there. And then I'll put some wet glue on the other side, checking that that's going to work, and yes it is. And then I'll put some wet glue and hold that down. I think I'm going to do that now, or I am going to, oh yes I am, because I'm going to use my T-square ruler, which I love, and I'm just making sure that this is super straight because I want this one element to be very straight on the background. So now I'm just using my wet glue to hold that in place. Double check, because of course I moved it a bit while I was sticking it down. Double check, hold it to make sure it takes and holds very firmly, and then stick those ice creams down. And this layout, once the cut file work was done, this layout comes together really quickly because of course the background was already done and I've used die cuts. The fussy cutting was a little bit tedious at the start because these flowers have quite a few separate petals, so there is quite a bit of work. Now I am just distressing quite heavily with the edges of my scissors the pieces of paper that are going to sit in behind the photo. And then I am now going to just use wet glue and stick them behind the photo, just overlapping them to get that colour, just so that it pops up. Distress all the bits, make sure everything's right to go. I use my fingernail to help get some bigger distressed areas, and another nice piece of foam craft tape. So the foam that I use is just craft foam from the Kitties art section at my local Spotlight, or wherever you happen to be able to get this from, depending on what country that you're in. I like it, it's cheap, and I particularly like that it is very, very lightweight on your layouts, so it doesn't make your layouts weigh down. You can see there I'm just trimming out a bit of the foam from behind the suite because it actually sits on top of the photo, and then I ended up with 2 layers of foam behind the photo. And then I'm just sticking down that right here die cut. And the butterfly with a little bit of foam behind it, and it just sits there on between the ice cream cone and the suite title. Just holding it in place so that the glue grabs and I know it's not going to shift around. And then I'm covering up the photo. I always cover up my photo before I do splashes because otherwise I end up with a great big splash of ink in the middle of the photo. And I'm going to splash around some Heidi Swap Colour Shine Gold ink. So it's just a few extra touches of gold on that background to work in. It's a very similar colour to that watercolour that I used. Now I dropped a little bit on the cut file, and I just added a bit of extra water to it and then mopped it up with some kitchen paper towel so that it didn't leave the gold spot on the ice cream, on that white ice cream, because I didn't want it there. So I think that is everything done now, and I'm just going to hold it up so you can see some of the dimension in that and the shine, the beautiful shine that that gold paint has given. And now here's some still photos. Thank you again for joining me today. If you enjoyed my video, I'd love it if you gave this a like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Remember, this is a YouTube hop. All the details of the other participants are in the description box below. Thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you again on my channel soon. Bye.